This morning, a former Waupun warden charged in the deaths of inmates striking a plea deal.
Plus, the Trump administration hinting at a deal on tariffs, some relief perhaps for those automakers.
President Trump is trying to break us.
And words for the United States from the winner of Canada's federal election. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to News 3 Now this morning on a Tuesday. I'm Kyrie Lee.
I'm Chris Stanford. Savannah Brito here at the desk with us to start off the 6 a.m. hour. All right. So last night's storms, you were talking about the cap all day yesterday and whether or not it was going to break and the impact that would have. So where do we end up?
Yeah, so southern Wisconsin, we had a few hail reports, but we were not able to see that cap break at all. And those storms were able to, quickly go robust. We did see some reports like near Eau Claire, Wisconsin, across northern and central Wisconsin, and then south of Minneapolis. There were 2 confirmed tornadoes. So that's the area that took the brunt of the damage that we had hail reports and just in general severe weather. But we didn't have the right ingredients needed to support severe weather to come together as well. But this is a loop over the last 6 hours. Our threat long over. We did have a little cell that popped up across Grant County, tracked into Dane County, produced some lightning, very minor, maybe up to pea-sized hail. It did stay below severe criteria. That was a few hours ago, but a lot of rain that was affecting areas and lightning northern and central Wisconsin a few hours ago. But since then, we have not seen anything. The threat for the entire state is over. Ahead of the cold front, southeast of even the Chicagoland area is where that threat's going to be for severe weather later today. We still got the 70s to our east and southeast. We're at 63 in Madison, but quickly falling temperatures as that cold front continues to push further east. 47 in La Crosse, 50 in Camp Douglas this morning. The rest of the day is going to feature pretty breezy conditions, and then some rain returns tomorrow. We'll time that out coming up in just a bit.
All right, we'll talk to you then, Savannah. Now to a plea deal for the former prison warden charged in the death of 2 inmates. Prosecutors had initially charged Waupun warden Randall Hepp with felony misconduct connected to the deaths of 24-year-old Cameron Williams and 62-year-old Donald Meyer. Prosecutors struck a deal with Hepp to plead no contest to a lesser misdemeanor. The judge ended up sentencing Hepp to a $500 fine and no jail time. He says Hepp was unaware of the living facilities that led to Meyer's death. Prison officials found Meyer dead in his cell February of last year. A judge ruled the death as a homicide by dehydration and malnutrition. Williams died of a stroke in October of 2023. He laid in a cell for almost 12 hours before being discovered. Hepp is one of 9 in the prison charged in the death of those inmates.
Today, President Donald Trump is set to rally in Michigan, the auto industry hub. The visit comes as Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is hinting at potential good news for automakers. Automakers face a potential 25% duty on most parts slated to begin on Saturday. That's in addition to the duties already in place for steel, aluminum, and almost all imported vehicles. The Commerce Secretary says the auto deal rewards companies who manufacture domestically while providing runway to manufacturers who have expressed their commitment to invest in America. Now, it's unclear what that statement means, but in a statement, General Motors CEO says she's grateful to President Donald Trump. His tariffs often appear fluid. And tariffs could make things financially harder for some parents.
That's right. Our consumer reporter, Michelle Renee Quinn, is here to explain the effects. Good morning.
Chris, Kyrie, good morning. Parents may be concerned about the rising cost of the baby gear they need, and President Trump's 145% tariffs on imports from China and the 10% minimum on nearly all other countries has the prices for leading brands of strollers up by hundreds of dollars, and the cost of car seats has gone up an average of 20%. Retailers and trade policy experts say the vast majority of children's and baby gear products are manufactured exclusively in China, and that the products cannot be produced in other countries, including here in the U.S., anytime soon. In a letter to the Commerce Secretary, dozens of Democrats in Congress have called on the administration to exempt those child care and safety products from tariffs.
Yeah, a lot of industries asking for those exemptions because of the impacts on their bottom line.
Absolutely.
Michelle Renee, thank you.
Of course.
All right, let's see how the markets are reacting to all of this morning. Right now, stocks in overnight trading on Wall Street are mixed. Dow futures are up 81 points. S&P and NASDAQ futures are down just a little bit.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's Liberal Party won Canada's federal election. It's a stunning turnaround from a few months ago when Liberals were projected to undergo a crushing defeat. Analysts say President Donald Trump's threats and trade war fueled the win. Trump's actions have infuriated many Canadians, especially his calling for the country to become America's 51st state. Carney sees Trump as a threat to Canada.
President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen.
It is not yet known if the Liberal Party has won enough seats for an outright majority. If they haven't, they will have to form a coalition with one or more smaller parties to hold office.
Well, the lights are back on across most of Spain and Portugal this morning after a massive blackout. Take a look at this. Passengers waiting for trains during rush hour in Madrid after power was restored. Authorities say the outage wasn't a cyber attack, but the question of exactly what caused it still remains. Spain's prime minister says that they are analyzing all the potential causes without discarding any hypotheses. The outage hit just before 12:30 local time yesterday afternoon. It's one of the most serious outage episodes in Europe in recent history.
In local news this morning, officials have once again delayed the release of one of the Slender Man attackers. New information revealed that if released from a mental health facility as planned, Morgan Geyser would live within 8 miles of her victim. In 2018, a judge sentenced Geyser to 40 years in a mental institution after she and a friend stabbed their classmate 19 times to appease the fictional character Slender Man. All three girls were 12 years old at the time. A judge granted Geyser a conditional release earlier this year. This marks the third time officials have been ordered to submit a new release plan.
Well, no one is hurt after a large tree fell onto an apartment complex in Fort Atkinson. Fort Atkinson's fire chief says the crews responded to the apartments on Commonwealth Drive just after 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon. No one was inside when the tree fell. The apartments, though, as you can see, have some pretty bad damage. Peterson says, the chief says that the Red Cross is helping the displaced residents until the tree is removed and the roof is repaired.
A restaurant on Madison's east side is back open for business. A Metro bus crashed into Asian House restaurant 2 months ago, severely damaging the stove and hood. A passenger attacked the driver, causing the crash. With time and insurance support, the owners of Asian House repaired the damage and now have a fully functioning kitchen, as you can see here. While some work remains, the owner says they're ready to serve their customers.
The most important part for me right now is I'm worried about how to get all the customers know we are reopened and then getting them come back.
Asian House Restaurant is the main source of income for Bonnie's family. She says she can't wait to see her customers come back.
A group of virologists around the world are sounding the alarm on bird flu. The Global Virus Network says H5N1, which has spread to millions of birds and at least 70 humans, requires proactive surveillance. It comes at a time when the Trump administration has fired dozens of experts who track disease outbreaks in the nation. The U.S. saw its first human bird flu death earlier this year.
The arm you choose for a vaccine shot could make a difference. And no, it's not about getting the shot in your dominant arm. A study by the Garvin Institute found if you get a booster vaccine in the same arm as your first dose, the immune response happens quicker, often within the first week. But after a few weeks, the level of protection is the same, no matter which arm you got your follow-up shot in.
Well, an adventurous Monticello Middle School teacher is sharing her recovery after a serious ski accident. Every year, Monticello Middle School students take a trip to Tyrrell Basin with teachers as supervisors. Last year's trip, teacher and avid skier Deb Freitag broke her tibia and fibula. Ouch. Despite her injury, she hoped that this would not be the last of the Monticello ski trips.
If you're going to live in Wisconsin, we have to teach these kids how to get outside in the winter, learn a sport that they can have fun with and not just sit inside where it's dark and, play their video games. So the school let us keep doing it. And so I'm praying that they let us keep doing it even after this incident this year. I think.
She got her surgery at SSM Health St. Mary's. There, doctors repaired her leg with a titanium rod, plates, and screws. Luckily, her doctor says that she will be able to ski again.
Well, very good. Teaching a lesson and not letting that incident hold her back.
All right. Yeah. What a recovery. They have the plate and the screws and the rod and everything.
Yeah, I'm sure that was unexpected.
No, but
most certainly.
You're right, though. What a lesson to the students that when you fall, you got to get right back up.
Well, let's check in with Savannah. What's coming up?
Well, guys, we still have a lot of cloud cover and temperatures are still warm. Madison and southeast, we're still expecting to dip into the 50s and then rise back later this afternoon. We'll talk about the mild air when it's going to return again and more showers that are on the forecast.
And coming up in your morning sports, the draft might be over, but the Pack still making moves. Who they just signed to a one-year deal.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
In Milwaukee, people gathered over the weekend to say goodbye to something that has caught the attention of many in the city.
Catherine Merck looks back at the history of an abandoned boat on Lake Michigan's shoreline, and she shows us the funeral.
Funerals are supposed to be a time where people say goodbye. Many have gathered near the abandoned boat on Lake Michigan's shoreline after city leaders said it would be removed this week. But it's still here.
You see me wearing black today. This is an ending. It is time to say goodbye of sorts. We don't know when that's going to be.
Alex Minnick is one of those giving a send-off to Deep Thought, the boat that's captivated people in Milwaukee. The vessel has been here since its Mississippi-based owners ran out of fuel and left it on the shoreline in October. On Wednesday, Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson said an anonymous donor would fund a local salvage company to remove it, ending the nautical nonsense.
And to have, a nuisance like this on the beach is not a good look for Milwaukee.
In its supposed final days afloat, those who've appreciated the boat's presence gathered for a celebration on Saturday. They say Deep Thought, in one way or another, has brought all hands on deck in a unique way for the city.
The cliche is every ending is a new beginning. I hope that this boat and these kind of absurd get-togethers create some energy around people finding different ways to connect and play.
Some of the crews that were dedicated to getting this boat out of the water have cited wintry conditions and a difficult location as to why it hasn't happened yet. When it does, we'll update you. Reporting near Bradford Beach, I'm Catherine Merck, CBS 58 News.
All right. Well, Milwaukee's National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum has immortalized the boat with its own bobblehead. What is that going to look? A boat bobblehead?
I don't know how that one works.
I have a hard time picturing that. All over an abandoned boat.
Sounds cool, though.
Sure.
The boat is living
Why
on.
not? We got nothing better to do.
I guess. Well, guys, we had some showers that we did see overnight into early this morning that did produce some lightning on radar. This little cell that affected areas after midnight up until about 3 in the morning that did push through Dane County, did produce some lightning. There was really not much severe weather across southern Wisconsin. Our ingredients didn't quite come together. All the severe weather ingredients needed to support those strong to long-lived and intense supercells. But areas up to our north, central, and northern Wisconsin did see some of that. Lots of heavy rain and lightning over the last 6 hours too. But yesterday, late afternoon, early evening, we did see 2 tornadoes that were able to be confirmed by the National Weather Service. One was near Eau Claire and then another one south of the Minneapolis area. All of the blue on this storm damage map, that's all hail that was reported. So we did see some near Platteville across Grant County and then south of La Crosse near Viroqua. Those are the only reports that we had across southern Wisconsin. There were also some wind and also some thunderstorm wind gusts that were reported on the storm damage map as well. We're at 63 right now. Winds are slowly going to start to increase the rest of the day. They're not going to come down at all until later this evening into tonight. And you can still see where the cold front is. Much cooler temperatures affecting areas northwest of Madison. We're in the 40s. Lone Rock's at 51. Still at 63 in Madison. Our dew points are also pushing still near 60. The threat long over of severe weather, even rain, is not going to affect any of today, and then the 70s even. So as that cold front continues to push east, we will see drier air take over and those dew points are going to come down. We're still holding on the 60s in Milwaukee, Waukesha, and Kenosha. 56, still a little muggy outside across Dane County, but then back behind that, much drier air is getting pulled in behind the cold front, and our wind direction also back out of the northwest now. But gusts during the day, about 25 to 35 miles per hour can be expected. We'll see some sunshine and clearing take place as temperatures do warm back up to near 60. A lot cooler than what we had yesterday. A lot of us broke the 80s for the first time this year. We will see a few clouds in place tonight as temperatures drop into those mid to upper 30s. And then tomorrow, later in the day anyways, a couple of scattered showers start to track in across southern Wisconsin. I think it'll be more widespread once we're heading towards daybreak on Thursday morning. After that, much warmer air, 64 Saturday, and then we're well into the 70s by next week.
The MRI confirmed what we all feared. Damian Lillard will miss the rest of the playoffs and unfortunately a big chunk, if not all of next year, after tearing his Achilles tendon in the first quarter of Game 4 on Sunday night. Dame will undergo surgery to repair it, and now the path for the Bucks to advance out of the first round for the first time since 2022 is a whole lot harder, on top of Tuesday's Game 5 being a must-win.
I think everybody in the locker room know what the deal is. Got to go in Indiana, play some good basketball. Obviously, we don't have Dame, but the next guy got to step up. We got to do what we got to do. Move the ball, play together, try to win the game, and come back.
The wait was a little longer than expected, but worth it for Jack Nelson. The Stoughton native got the call in the 7th round that every kid growing up playing football dreams about. Atlanta selected the former Badger left tackle as the 218th pick in the draft. And for Nelson, well, his mindset is simple. Prove to the Falcons that he belongs in the league.
It's all about making the team and then, proving to that team that you belong. You're starting at the bottom of the totem pole. And, my goal is to prove I can play in the NFL as a rookie. I can play as a tackle. And then, it's just about doing whatever you need for that team, coming into work, getting it done, and then signing that second contract.
Elijah Hills has earned a chance to prove he can play at the next level. The former Badger defensive lineman received an invite to the 49ers rookie mini camp. Now, Hills led Wisconsin in sacks last season in his lone year in Madison. Well, the draft might be over, but the Packers are still making moves. Green Bay is signing linebacker Isaiah Simmons to a one-year deal. The former 8th overall pick has spent 5 years in the league where he played with the Cardinals and the Giants. And as expected, both Jerry Kelly and Steve Stricker have officially committed to play in this year's AmFam Championship. The two are fan favorites, have combined for 3 AmFam championships, with Kelly winning in 2019 and 2021, and Strick taking home the title 2 years ago. The AmFam Championship tees off for the first time ever at TPC, Wisconsin on June 6th. And that's it for Morning Sports. Have a great day.
You too, Zach. Still ahead, the newest Rock and Roll Hall of Fame class and which notable artist was snubbed this year once again.
And coming up in our next half hour, a new program to get healthy food to more people through farmers markets. How you could benefit.
And here are your gas prices. We're back right after this.
We're back. Gwen says this is a beautiful old tulip tree. Take a look there. It's giving all the spring vibes that you need. There it is. Always capturing the beauty out there.
Those spring blooms don't last long.
No, we have wind and rain. We have something like that outside on the patio, and there's just the petals everywhere.
You know what? Pink petals fluttering on the ground is beautiful too. It's like confetti.
There you go.
We'll take what we can get.
It's a sign that spring's here.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gwen. Well, trending this morning, this year's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame class. A total of 7 artists are going to be inducted this year. Let's take a look. Who do we got? Oh, Chubby Checker, Cyndi Lauper, Outkast, Soundgarden, The White Stripes, Bad Company, and Joe Cocker. The induction ceremony will happen in Los Angeles in November. But snubbed once again this year, the solo artist with the most #1 hits, Miss Mariah Carey.
Shake my head.
It's a shame because, like, I feel like Mariah is somebody who has been generational. Like, there's, she's went through generation. So.
Right. Like, at this point, like, you just don't put her in. Just she'd overshadow everyone else.
They have given her flowers, though. They honored her at the iHeartRadio Music Awards not too long ago. So she is getting her flowers.
Good. She deserves them.
Yes.
Well, speaking of icons, SoFi Stadium invaded Monday last night by cowboy hats and boots for Beyonce's Cowboy Carter tour. Her fans have embraced the country album, even if the Nashville establishment have not. She laughed, though, all the way to the Grammys, taking home Country Album of the Year back in February, and now, well, just playing SoFi Stadium for 5 nights. She's going to be coming to Chicago next month. She's going to play 3 nights at Soldier Field starting on May 15th.
Michelle Renee will be in the building.
I can't wait. That's going to be me with my little cowgirl hat. It's going to be great, and I'm so excited.
Pictures, please.
Oh, it'll be on my News 3 this morning, the day after the concert.
I don't know. Like the album was, there were some bangers, but I don't know if there was a whole concert of them.
You know what? This is not about just the one album. This is about the Renaissance Part 2.
Part 2, okay. There we go. Okay, we're embracing it all.
Yes.
Embracing it all.
Soldier Field's a good venue to see concerts,
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Well, we're dealing with some showers tomorrow into Thursday. They could be a little bit more scattered to widespread overnight into early Thursday morning, and then Sunday through early next week, guys. Look at those 70s.
Looking nice. We're back after this. This morning, new developments in a death investigation in Blue Mounds. What we know about the suspect.
Plus, President Trump marks 100 days in office, the effect of his economy on your wallet.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to News 3 Now this morning on a Tuesday. I'm Chris Stanford.
And I'm Kyrie Unley. Thanks for waking up with us this morning.
Look at that sunshine.
Yes, this is nice to see some sunshine. And not only that, the temperatures weren't feeling bad at all as you head out the door. I know they're dropping, but still not feeling bad at all outside.
Okay, so after those storms moved through last night, things weren't nearly as aggressive here in south central Wisconsin as they were further to the north. Let's get a check on your forecast this morning. Savannah Brito out on the patio. What's your assessment from those storms that came through overnight? What's your takeaway?
We just didn't have enough cap, or the storms were not able to break through the cap, but the ones that we saw overnight across southern Wisconsin, those stayed below severe limits. We had a few ones across Grant County that tracked into Dane County, produced some minor lightning, maybe some very, very small hail that was able to stay below severe criteria. Across southern, though, Wisconsin, or central and northern Wisconsin, and out across northern Iowa and south central Minnesota, that was a different story. Now we've got falling temperatures, dry conditions the rest of the day, but it's very breezy. Winds have gusted up to about 35 to 40 miles per hour. We'll slowly start to see them die down finally overnight into early tomorrow morning. We're tracking more storm chances, a couple of showers as well, and then much warmer temperatures. We'll time all of that out coming up, guys.
All right, we'll talk to you then. New this morning, the woman accused of killing her mother in the village of Blue Mounds is now in the Dane County Jail.
Police booked Sierra Schoonover into the jail just before 9 last night. She faces tentative charges of first-degree intentional homicide.
Police found 54-year-old Heather Schoonover dead on April 14th at a home on Smoky Mountain Trail. Officials identified her 31-year-old daughter as a person of interest. Police took her into custody after she left the area and crashed on State Highway 78. First responders took Sierra to the hospital. Again, she is in jail this morning. A court date for Sierra has not yet been set.
We now know more about a crash in Cottage Grove. The crash happened yesterday around 6:30 on Michelle Lane near the Oaks Golf Course. The Cottage Grove Police Department says the crash involved a car and 2 pedestrians. All 3 were taken to the hospital for injuries. They say speed could be a reason for the crash. The investigation is ongoing.
Today, President Donald Trump says he's preparing for a victory lap, celebrating 100 days in office with a rally in Michigan, home to the nation's big 3 automakers. And on this news comes related news from Commerce Secretary indicating that the administration is set to ease off on those 25% tariffs on car companies. But a new CBS News poll shows more than 60% of Americans are now concerned that the president is too focused on tariffs and not focused enough on lowering prices. The Trump administration is also claiming wins on the border. They've lined the driveway of the White House with signs of people that they say were unauthorized immigrants arrested over the past 100 days.
Our consumer reporter Michelle Renee Quinn is here with a look on his campaign promises and progress so far when it comes to the economy. Good morning.
Chris, Kyrie, good morning. President Trump built his campaign on a promise to lower prices. Now that he's hit the 100-day mark, I've got the latest numbers on how the economy is performing under the Trump administration. Now, although inflation has been falling since it peaked in 2022 at 9.1%, when Trump took office in January, inflation stood at 3%. In March, he boasted about solving inflation when it dropped to 2.4%. But the Federal Reserve warns that his tariff plan will lead to higher prices. The Yale Budget Lab estimates those tariffs could cost the average household nearly $4,000 in higher prices this year. President Trump also promised to eliminate all debt. However, experts say his plans for tax cuts would reduce funds to cover the country's bills. So you might remember he made a similar pledge in 2016. The national debt grew $8 trillion on Trump's watch, but now that's not all a result of his policy. Some of it was carried over from previous administrations, and more was also added to combat effects of the pandemic.
Yeah, a lot to consider here when talking about the national debt. Wiping out all of it? I mean, that's a big ask. That is a huge task ahead. You got to remember, too, that some of that debt was incurred because of President Trump's tax cuts.
Yes.
That was about $1 or $2 trillion that was added onto the debt during his first term.
And he also did leave some money, $1.6 trillion, I believe, in cash when he left the office, which is not something that other presidents have done. So
there we go. Michelle Renee, thanks for breaking it all down.
Absolutely.
Well, in other news this morning, UW-Madison officials confirm all 27 of its international students and alumni have regained active visa status. Officials say the reversals began last Thursday and continued throughout the weekend. They say the university nor the students affected were given a reason as to why their visas were terminated. The affected students and alumni can now continue their studies and postgraduate training. In a statement on the reversal, UW Chancellor Jennifer Mnuchin says in part, quote, "The situation was deeply troubling, upended lives, and created both fear and harm. I want to personally thank the many members of our community, along with local, state, and federal officials who work to assist our students."
Milwaukee County Chief Judge Carl Ashley is now speaking out following the arrest of Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan. Federal agents arrested Dugan Friday. Agents claim that she diverted their attention during an arrest of an undocumented immigrant and helped that person get out of the courthouse. Milwaukee County is the epicenter right now of the debate over whether federal agents can make arrests inside of courthouses. Legal experts say yes, but county leaders have been trying to change that.
Look, in a perfect world, we would have the opportunity to have a courthouse where people would never have to worry about coming there for their activities. But the reality is there are legal parameters which allow the government to effectuate warrants, and we're not going to interfere with that.
Dugan is charged with obstructing or impeding a proceeding before a department or agency.
A new poll suggests most Wisconsinites are at least somewhat confident in the accuracy of state election results. The Democracy Defense Project's poll found that 78% of voters are at least somewhat confident in results. 47% of voters say they are very confident. Polling also shows 76% support election officials to process election ballots one day before Election Day with strong agreement across party lines. 70% of voters view election workers as important community volunteers who count votes fairly.
Today, House Republicans are moving to stop efforts to investigate Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth over his controversial use of the app Signal. Democrats in the House Armed Services Committee want to force a resolution of inquiry during a meeting today. It would call on President Trump and Hegseth to turn over all communications about military operations against Houthis that were shared on Signal. Failing to block the resolution would trigger a full vote before the House. But GOP leaders tucked a provision into that rule that would come to the floor today. It effectively denies Democrats from forcing the vote.
The U.S. Navy reports one of its fighter jets is lost at sea. An FA Super Hornet fighter jet, similar to the one you see pictured here, fell overboard from the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft while on patrol in the Red Sea. Authorities say the aircraft carrier came under fire from Houthi fighters. They had to make a hard turn to avoid the attack. But during that maneuver, the fighter jet fell into the water. One sailor suffered a minor injury. The Navy confirms the $60 million fighter jet sunk. An investigation is underway to determine what happened.
4 students are dead this morning after a car crashed through an Illinois after-school program. Police say the victims of the crash are between the ages of 4 and 18. It happened yesterday afternoon in Chatham, just south of Springfield. The car hit people outside, then hit students inside and drove out of the building. That driver is uninjured but in police custody.
In other news, Edgewood High School will soon be changing their cell phone policy. Starting in the fall, the school implement the use of lockable pouches to keep phones out of class. Students will lock their phones in pouches when they get to school, but then students can unlock them at the end of the day when they leave.
Pouches allow our students to still have the phone on them at all times, so if there was an emergency, they do have access to them.
Principal Jerry Zander says this will improve the mental health of students, eliminate distractions, and foster community.
Well, SSM Health partnering up with the Beloit and Janesville farmers markets to get affordable and healthy foods to more people. They've launched the new Double Up Food Bucks program. It encourages people who get SNAP benefits to buy fresh produce and grocery essentials from local vendors. People who use SNAP will get extra benefits by shopping at either market. The launch comes amid a struggle to meet the demand in both communities.
A lot of our food partners, our food banks and our food pantries are feeling tightness right now in their ability to serve our populations as best as they possibly can. Funding is getting shorter and shorter. And I think a lot of times in the past, people have thought the farmers market is kind of the high-end, expensive place to go for your food. And our farmers markets here in Rock County have done a great job removing that stigma of our farmers markets and making it accessible for everybody.
To participate in the program, all you have to do is present your SNAP benefit card and then choose the dollar amount to have deducted from your account.
Milwaukee Bucks guard Damian Lillard will miss the rest of the 2025 playoffs. He underwent an MRI yesterday that revealed a torn Achilles tendon. Lillard suffered the injury during the first period of Sunday's game against Indiana. He will undergo surgery.
Well, if you bought a Powerball ticket in Beloit over the weekend, you could be up $50,000. Wisconsin Lottery says the winning ticket was sold Saturday at the Quick Trip on East Inman Parkway. The winner has 180 days now to claim their winnings. Odds of winning a $50,000 Powerball prize, just about 1 in 900,000.
All right. As my grandpa would say, even a blind hog finds an acorn every once in a while. That's what he says. So I guess
like
they
that
hit
one.
right. I mean, that's the odds are very large.
$1,000.
Yes.
Nice.
Congratulations to that winner. Well, let's check in with Savannah. What's coming up?
Well, guys, temperatures will continue to fall through the morning. We should rebound near 60 and see some sunshine, but it'll be breezy. We'll talk about when even warmer temperatures like yesterday could return.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
Oh, we're back. So, we may have dodged some storms, some really strong stuff last night, but further to the north, though, some of those areas really got pounded. We have some new video that we want to show you. This is storm damage in Kenyon, Minnesota, about an hour south of Minneapolis. Some brand new video here just into the newsroom. The storms largely missed the Twin Cities area, but there are reports of a large branch falling in Minneapolis near Lake Harriet. It left a car damaged. Over 4,000 people are without power. They were without for about a couple hours as the severe weather moved through last night.
And that was, I think, video from one of the tornadoes that were reported, two that the National Weather Service was able to confirm. There was one just south of Minneapolis, which is this video that we're seeing here from near Kenyon, Minnesota. And then we also had one across Wisconsin, too. It was just north of here near Eau Claire, Wisconsin. We don't have any video yet of that one, but there are reports hearing of some kind of substantial damage up near Eau Claire. We'll show where that one is in just a sec. I just wanted to show a recap of the last 6 hours. All of those storms long moved out of here and across Michigan, northern Michigan at this point in time. But we did see one cell that did move through Dane County, producing some lightning several hours ago now at this point in time. Our threat completely over. Most of the damage that we had was just hail. A couple of reports south of La Crosse near Viroqua. And then we also had some hail that was reported west of the Platteville area in Grant County. We were not able to see, at least locally across southern Wisconsin, all of the right ingredients needed for severe weather to support those long tracked and intense cells. But some areas, all of this blue is the hail that was much more widespread across the Waterloo areas north of that, northern Iowa, south of Minneapolis, and then across central and northern Wisconsin as well. This was the tornado that I was talking about that was near Eau Claire to the southeast of Eau Claire. And then this one south of Minneapolis near Kenyon, that was the one that we had video just in from in Minnesota. Not expecting any more rain today. In fact, temperatures still on a downward trend in Madison and Southwest because of the cold front that's sitting. Northwest areas up near La Crosse, a lot cooler this morning. We'll rebound back to 60 later today, so technically our highs will go down for what temperatures were shortly after midnight. We're still holding on to 64 right now. Got lots of 70s, Janesville, Kenosha, Waukesha, but the cold front packing a punch. 40s. Viroqua was at 44 only this morning. Our dew points also are kind of on the downward trend. We do have some that are closer to 60 east of Madison. Drier air, though, moving in behind that, and it'll still be breezy with winds gusting up to about 25 to 30 miles per hour through the day. We'll see those ease late tonight into the overnight hours after highs again approach 60. I don't want to say highs, but later afternoon our temperatures will approach 60, and then temps overnight are going to fall back down into the 30s. We'll see a few clouds come into play, and then tomorrow it'll be a little warmer, but we will see some scattered showers later in the day anyways. I think we'll have lots of dry time. Scattered showers will affect the overnight hours and really ramp up further into Thursday, where we could see some heavy widespread rain move back in. No thunderstorms that will be severe is in the forecast, and then warmer temperatures will be looking at the 70s then. After that, Sunday looks pretty good, and then into early next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, well into the 70s.
That looks so nice.
Kyrian has a big smile on her face.
Yes, I do. I've been waiting. You know, it
I
just
know.
takes a while for it to level out, but it's finally here and you can get out and enjoy it. I know you want to get out and tan too.
Yeah, I want to get outside my paddleboard. I got it last year. I mean, we're going to have some pretty good weather, and next week's the first full week of May, so I can't believe we're almost there.
Yes, the best month, if I do say so
flies.
myself.
Yeah, it's your birthday month. I know why
Yeah,
you're...
on Sunday.
It's almost here.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Savannah. Hey, we're looking for some Plan My Day videos. You want to send one our way? We'd appreciate it. Share your name, where you're at, and then you can upload it to our website, the First One Weather app, Facebook Messenger, or email, and then watch to see if you make it on the air.
Well, season 3 of HBO's The White Lotus wrapped up a few weeks ago, but its influence on travel will likely endure. The series has increased interest in all 3 areas where it was filmed. CBS News correspondent Wendy Gillette reports on the White Lotus effect.
If meditative music, unusual and exotic spa treatments, stunning sunsets, and blended tropical drinks look familiar, perhaps you watched season 3 of The White Lotus.
It's a wellness center.
But this is the real deal with no murder or mayhem. Kamalaya Koh Samui, a wellness sanctuary in Thailand, less than 15 miles from the Four Seasons on the island where most of season 3 was filmed.
Koh Samui is a very healing place. You have a lot of yoga places, detox, fitness center, Muay Thai. It's not like a random island where, you know, people just come and go.
And they're all expecting a wave of interest generated by the hit show. Data from the airfare search engine Skiplagged shows after season 3 premiered, searches for Thailand flights surged as much as 50%.
I think it's good for Samui.
There was a similar effect after season 2, mostly filmed at the Four Seasons in Taormina, Italy. Data from the luxury travel network Virtuoso found bookings for the entire region of Sicily shot up more than 400%. But it all started here with the first season of The White Lotus, filming in this suite and other locations at the Four Seasons Maui when it was shut down during COVID. Back then, no one had any idea how successful the series would be, driving stays at the resort.
In season 1, we had a 425% increase in website availability checks. And in season 3, we've actually seen in the same time period 135% increase in bookings.
Four Seasons is capitalizing, announcing a private jet World of Wellness itinerary based on the show, with stops at all 3 resorts in Thailand, Italy, and Hawaii next May. The resort in the Wailea area of Maui also unveiled a pop-up White Lotus bar and pool cabana, available until next month. At Kamalaya, where we stayed for a special rate, the White Lotus effect is stirring over tourism concerns. Here, traditional healing is combined with more modern treatments like hyperbaric oxygen therapy.
Over tourism hopefully won't happen. But you know, if there's a balance, it'll be good.
A balance of more guests who still achieve the peace they're seeking. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
And coming up in the morning, Sprint, the company that's investing millions of dollars in the U.S.
And we want to say happy birthday this morning to Arlo. Happy birthday, buddy. We're back with the Sprint right after this. 6:53, time for the morning sprint.
The woman accused of killing her mother in the village of Blue Mounds is now in the Dane County Jail. Police booked Sierra Schoonover into the jail just before 9 last night. She faces tentative charges related to the death of her mother. Police found 54-year-old Heather Schoonover dead on April 14th at a home on Smoky Mountain Trail.
Cottage Grove police say 3 people are injured after a crash. It happened yesterday around 6:30 on Michelle Lane near the Oaks Golf Course. Cottage Grove police say that the crash involved a car and 2 pedestrians. All 3 were taken to the hospital for injuries. They say speed could be a reason for the crash. The investigation is ongoing.
Today, President Donald Trump is preparing for a victory lap, celebrating 100 days in office with a rally in Michigan. The state is home to the nation's big 3 automakers. The trip comes as reports say his Commerce Secretary indicates the administration is set to ease the 25% tariff on car companies.
Former prison warden and Waupun charged in the deaths of 2 inmates will avoid jail time. Prosecutors charged Waupun warden Randall Hepp last year with felony misconduct. Prosecutors, though, struck a deal with Hepp to plead no contest in exchange for a lesser misdemeanor. The judge sentenced Hepp to a $500 fine and no jail time.
UW-Madison officials confirm all 27 of its international students and alumni have regained active visa status. Officials say the reversals began last Thursday and continued throughout the weekend. They also say that there is still no known reason as to why the visas have been terminated. The affected students and alumni can now continue their studies and postgraduate training.
IBM announcing it'll invest $150 billion in the U.S. over the next 5 years. Company officials say it'll fuel the economy and accelerate its role as the global leader in computing. The company says more than $30 billion will go towards research and development for building mainframe and quantum computers. IBM is one of the several major companies recently to announce big investments in the U.S. since President Trump took office.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's Liberal Party has won Canada's federal election. It's a stunning turnaround from a few months ago when the Liberals were projected to undergo a crushing defeat. Analysts say much of the reason for the win was fueled by President Donald Trump's threats and trade war. Carney sees Trump as a threat to Canada. The election in Canada has now paused counting of special ballots until later this morning. That means Canadians won't know until then whether the Liberals will form a minority or majority government.
Well, temperatures are on their way down, but we will see those rebound back up to 60 later today. Some clearing. It'll stay pretty breezy, though. Got plenty of 70s. Sunday 72, and then more next week.
All right, we're back in 30 minutes.